2005 was a year of incredible individual performances in Major League Baseball with the likes of A-Rod, Miguel Tejada, Roger Clemens, the D-Train, Dontrelle Willis, all dominating. But the National League MVP race specifically was one for the ages, featuring three superstars, Albert Pujols, Andruw Jones, and Derrek Lee. When the dust settled on the 2005 season, Pujols took home the hardware, with Jones finishing a close second and Lee a distant third, receiving just one first-place vote. But what if I told you that the voters, well, they screwed it up?
But that's impossible. Buckle your butts, everyone!
Today we're diving into two specific reasons for why Derrek Lee not only deserved more than one first-place vote, but should have won the 2005 NL MVP award over both Pujols and Jones. But a few reasons why his MVP hopes might have been doomed from the start. Welcome to Good Vibes Baseball. Please consider subscribing if you haven't. I do appreciate you either way. Now let's get into some good vibes, shall we? Let's start with the cold, hard facts. The numbers. Derrek Lee's 2005 season was nothing short of historic, yet hardly ever gets mentioned.
It's messed up.
He hit .335 with 46 home runs, 50 doubles, 107 runs batted in, 393 total bases, and a 1.080 OPS, including a slugging percentage of .662. He actually led the entire league in batting average, slugging percentage, OPS, and total bases that year. Those 50 doubles were also tied with Miguel Tejada for tops in the league and are tied for fourth most in a season by a Cub ever. His 2005 season actually ranks him fourth in several categories in Cubs history, but he also led the National League in hits with 199. And defensively speaking, he just won the Gold Glove for first baseman that year. Simply put, Lee was a complete player in 2005. Now let's compare that to Cardinals first baseman Albert Pujols. Entering 2005, Pujols was coming off of maybe the best first 4 years to start a major league career, but had yet to win that MVP. 2005 was more of the same for Pujols though, as he hit .330 with 41 home runs, 38 doubles, 117 runs batted in, 360 total bases, and a 1.039 OPS, including a .609 slugging percentage. He was his usual dominant self, but here's the thing. Lee outperformed him in almost every major offensive category. Lee had a higher batting average, more home runs, more doubles, a higher slugging percentage, OPS, and more total bases. The only area where Pujols had a clear edge was in RBIs, but that's more often a product of team context rather than individual performance. And then there's Andruw Jones. The Braves legend received 13 first-place votes in 2005 and was actually a beast. He led the NL with 51 home runs and 128 RBIs, but he did hit just .263 with an OPS of .922. Yes, he was his usual defensive wizard self in center field, but his offensive numbers paled in comparison to Lee's other than a 5 home run difference. Jones's low batting average and on-base percentage made him a one-dimensional player compared to Lee's all-around dominance. And from an advanced metrics point of view, Pujols actually does come out slightly ahead in this fight, with him posting an 8.4 total BWAR, good for first in the NL, compared to a 7.7 total BWAR for Lee and a 6.7 total BWAR for Jones. No surprise here, but Jones posted the most defensive runs saved at 16, but Pujols wasn't far behind at 13, and remember, Lee won the Gold Glove, but with just 5 defensive runs saved. Maybe writers just got their MVP and Gold Glove votes switched. But the numbers don't lie. Derrek Lee was just slightly less valuable than Pujols and more valuable than Jones by BWAR, and put up better overall numbers offensively than either of them. Yet, just one first-place vote?
That's all, we got one goddamn hit?
And correct me if I'm wrong, but MVP stands for Most Valuable Player, right? So who was actually more valuable to their respective teams in 2005? The 2005 Chicago Cubs weren't exactly a powerhouse, if you will. They finished 79 and 83, fourth in a good NL Central. But without Derrek Lee, they might have been one of the worst teams in all of baseball.
You shut your mouth!
Lee carried that Cubs team that season, providing both offensive firepower and defensive stability with his 7.7 total B-WAR. Looking at the 2005 Cubs starting 8 position players, their total combined B-WAR was 15.7, with Lee's 7.7 almost as much as the rest of the other 7 starters' combined total of 8. In other words, he earned 49% of the total B-WAR for starting position players for that Cubs team in 2005. Aramis Ramirez did hit 30 nukes and 30 doubles that year for the Cubs, but again, this is a 15.7 B-WAR group with Derrek Lee. On the other hand, Albert Pujols and the 2005 Cardinals were a great team. They won 100 games and the NL Central that year. Pujols was absolutely instrumental in their success, but they also were sort of stacked. Their starting 8 position players posted a combined total B-WAR of 27.9 that year, and that is without an injured Scott Rowland. Pujols was undoubtedly their best player though, with his 8.4 B-WAR, but without him, that is still a 19.5 B-WAR set of starting position players. Pujols did account for 30% of that starting 8's total B-WAR, but there's a chance that the Cardinals would still have been a great team even without Pujols performing at an MVP level.
That's kind of a stretch.
Similarly, Andruw Jones and the Atlanta Braves were also a very good team. They won 90 games, the NL East, and also like Pujols, Jones had a strong supporting cast. The 2005 Braves starting 8 position players posted a combined total B-WAR of 25. Remove Jones's 6.7 B-WAR, and that is still an 18.3 total B-WAR team. He was actually responsible for just 27% of that group's total B-WAR. Heck, Rafael Furcal posted a 6.5 B-WAR that season. Analytically, Jones was almost not even the best player on his own team. Yet he only received 5 less first-place votes than Pujols and 12 more first-place votes than Lee. But you know what? Despite all of this greatness, no matter how well Derrek Lee did in 2005, when it comes to that year's NL MVP award, do you realize that he actually never had a real shot at winning it? The narrative is a powerful thing in baseball awards. And in 2005, Lee had a couple of them working against him, which sort of doomed his chances in voters' eyes. First, that the MVP can't be on a bad team.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Mike Trout has pushed that narrative in years past, but yeah, nothing you can do about that one really. The second narrative working against Lee that season though, that 2005 was Albert Pujols' year. Pujols had finished in the top 4 of MVP voting in each of his first 4 seasons in the league, with Barry Bonds winning every single one of those. That 2001 to 2004 run by Bonds was historic, but absolutely overshadowed Pujols' own greatness. Do you realize that Albert Pujols hit .359 with 43 bombs and an OPS of 1,106 in 2003?
No, I did not.
So by 2005, the narrative was clear. Pujols was overdue for an MVP award, but until Bonds was out of the picture, he was going to have to settle for at least second. So when Bonds got hurt and was forced to miss all of the 2005 season, it was Pujols' award to lose. He then, of course, went on to absolutely mash and lead the Cardinals to the NLCS that year too. He absolutely was a deserving MVP candidate. But was he really the most valuable player in the NL that year? Or did he just have an amazing year for a team that was actually in contention and his success fit the narratives better?
This unkempt youngster just might be onto something.
Lee was never going to win over Albert Pujols. Andruw Jones, though, was an entirely different player than either Pujols or Lee. He also did have a big narrative supporting him, though. That 50 home run mark. Only 32 players have hit that many home runs in a season. That number will always attract voters. If Lee hits 50 instead of 46, voters would be forced to take more notice. Lee's single first place vote makes sense when looking at the narratives. He was fighting the impossible fight, and Pujols won. So who actually should have won the 2005 NL MVP award? Albert Pujols is absolutely deserving of the 2005 NL MVP award. Let's not get this twisted. But Derrek Lee's 2005 season was phenomenal. He led the entire league in doubles, total bases, average, slugging percentage, OPS, and OPS+, while also adding 46 nukes.
Numbers, unlike children, don't lie.
He posted a higher offensive B-WAR than both Albert Pujols and Andruw Jones, while also being solid defensively according to the advanced metrics. As far as team value goes, his 7.7 B-WAR accounted for 49% of the Cubs' starting position players' total B-WAR, compared to just 30% for Pujols and 27% for Jones with their clubs. So should Derrek Lee have won the 2005 NL MVP award? Absolutely. His statistical superiority and value to the Cubs made him the most deserving candidate. But you know what? Baseball is full of moments where the best player didn't win the award we think they should have, no matter how deserving. Pujols was excellent in 2005. It was just Derrek Lee's turn to be on the wrong side of the narratives and history. Still, his 2005 season remains one of the greatest individual performances in Cubs history and serves as a reminder that sometimes even a historic year isn't enough to win the MVP. Sometimes your MVP dreams are just doomed from the start. That's gonna do it for today, baseball fans. Thanks so much for watching. Who do you think should have won the 2005 NL MVP award? Let me know down in the comments. Also, please consider subscribing if you haven't. Be sure to check out my other videos, and please smash that like button if you enjoyed yourself. I know I did. Until next time, you legends, cheers!